as before, यो topic already छलफल पनि भएको विषय हो. Yes, classification or types of the company. Okay. Yes, well, types of the company. Yes, company can be classified into different funds on the basis of its numbers of shareholders and on the basis of the liability of a company and on the basis of incorporation and on the basis of nature of the business activities of a company. In the different ways we could classify to the company in this way. So that's why company can classify different ways on the basis of liability, incorporation of the company, numbers of the shareholder, and the nature of the business, maybe the private and public, and on the basis of a profit making and profit not making companies. So in this way, different ways we can categorize and classify into the company. Okay. Yes. When you say to the our Nepalese Companies Act, generally there is imagination and there is a provision regarding certain types of the company. For example, our Companies Act only generally imagine to the five and generally 4 or 5 types of the company. For example, private company and public companies. Here, the concept of the foreign company, on the concept of a single member company on the private company, or the concept of profit not distributing company. These are the different types of company only imagined by our Company Act, and there is no provision regarding the government company. In previous Companies Act 2053 BS we had, and those Company Act, the previous Company Act 2053 was imagined to the government company. Now the concept of government company is repealed, and the new Companies Act has not addressed this concept. And nowadays the government companies where the numbers of the share is invested by the government, and that we call it as a public company. जहाँ सरकारको अधिकांश स्वामित्व भएको त्यस्तो खालको सरकारी कम्पनी गभर्नमेन्ट कम्पनी छ भने हामी त्यसलाई पब्लिक कम्पनी नै भन्छौँ. Call it as a public company, and the government are allowed to register the public company. So that's why now there is no provision and no concept of the government company in our Company Act. So that's why सरकारको अधिकांश लगानी भएको सरकार नेपाल सरकारको स्वामित्व भएको public company भन्छौँ हामी. So that's why that we call as a public company. Now concept of government company now. Okay, in practice in Nepal. And yes, different companies are there. Yes, dual chartered company, statutory company, unregistered company. These are the companies generally it was in the practice in Britain. बेलायतमा यस्तो खालको practice here. Dual chartered company, statutory company, registered or incorporated company. In a royal chartered company is simple where the companies are established by issuing the order of the royal family or the king or the queen. So on the basis of order of an issuance of the some issuance order was issued by the royal family or the king and queen. If the company was registered on the basis of a special order of the queen and king, that is a royal chartered company. It was practiced in Britain. And a statutory company is established under this special law. For example, in Nepal, in our Nepalese contracts, NRB, Nepal Rashtra Bank, whether it is a company or not is questionable, but Nepal Rashtra Bank is established by the special statutory law or a special law. So that's why we call it as a statutory company. So that's why NRB, Nepal Rashtra Bank, as the Central Bank of the India, these are the companies which are established with this special order. So with a special statute. So by enacting the special law by Parliament, by enacting a special law and by making the special law by the Parliament legislation, if the companies are registered, companies are incorporated with this special law that we call as a statutory company. So that's why in Nepal, an NRB is considered as a statutory company. In Nepal, Nepal Rashtra Bank हामी statutory company भन्छौँ. Yes, it is established with this special law, and by enacting the law by the Parliament of the legislation, if the companies are established with the special law that we call as a statutory company. And next one is registered or incorporated company. Nowadays, yes, at the beginning phase, at the initial phase, and at earlier stage of the company's development, there was the practice of the unincorporated company. Large numbers of the unincorporated company were there, but nowadays there is now such kinds of companies are unincorporated companies are not in practice. दर्ता unincorporated company only practice. So the companies are registered and they are considered as a registered company. Yes, we register company in OCR, office of the company registered in context of Nepal. So these companies are considered as a registered company. So that's the company we register that we call as a registered company. So registered company, statutory company, and registered company or incorporated company. It means that incorporation registered company. These are the different types of company we consider. यस्तो खालको कम्पनीहरु हामी देख्न सक्छौं. Those the company we register that is a registered company. These kinds of companies are there. And next one is companies limited by the share. Yes, every companies are limited by the share. Limited by the share and limited by the guarantee. Companies limited by the guarantee, there is no share capital of company. Company limited by guarantee but no share capital, but only they have committed that during the time of liquidation or winding of the company, we are ready to pay out the different liabilities of in the name of company. Yes, so the company is limited by the share. All the companies are limited by both the private and public company. These are the limited by the share, and companies limited by the guarantees that yes, there is no share capital in the company. Company there is no share capital, but the shareholders have committed that yes, we are ready to pay out all the liabilities during the time of the winding up of the company. To pay it out. Company winding up मा जाने बेलामा insolvency मा यदि गयो भने त्यस्तो अवस्थामा yes, we are ready to pay it out. That is a company limited by the guarantee. So the guarantor, especially its shareholder, have guaranteed that committed that we are ready to pay out the whole liabilities of the company. Company को तर्फबाट भोलि भविष्यमा in future if the liabilities should have to be paid out by the company, फ्युचरमा कम्पनीको नामबाट कुनै त्यस्तो दायित्वहरू चुक्ता गर्नु पर्यो भने त्यस्तो परेको खण्डमा हामी चुक्ता गर्छौं भनेर कमिट गरेको हुन्छ शेयरहोल्डरले, that we call as a company limited by guarantee. So that's why the company is limited by the share. Generally companies are limited by the share because it has limited liability. Some companies are there, companies limited by the guarantees there. Generally normally it is not in practice, but the shareholders are generally guaranteed, that we call as companies limited guarantee. So in the companies limited by the guarantee, there is no share capital of the company. There is now share capital. त्यहाँ share capital भन्ने हुँदैन, खाली committed गरेको हुन्छ. It is committed by the shareholders. We are ready to pay it out in future if the company is went into liquidation or insolvent. Say, company future मा insolvency र liquidation मा जाने बेलामा हामी तिर्छौं भनेर यसको shareholderले guaranteed गरेको हुन्छ. That's why that we call as a companies limited by the guarantee. And the next one is unlimited company. Yes, now there is probably no unlimited company. The companies which are registered that is limited company. Our सबै कम्पनीहरु लिमिटेड हुन्छ. अनलिमिटेड कम्पनीहरु yes, there was a practice in the very earlier stage. Early stage मा असीमित दायित्वका कम्पनीहरु थियो. Private firm as a partnership, they have the unlimited liability. Such kinds of company enterprise were there in existence. So nowadays there is now concept of unlimited liability company. So companies are always, it has limited liability that we call as a company. And next one is the difference between public and private company. Yes, private company and public company. Public company in Nepal, in context of Nepal, minimum 7 and the maximum unlimited numbers of people. If any company is going to register another public company, it doesn't require the 7. Less than 7 can register the company. That is a public company. Public company jahan the issued capital or the paid up capital of the public company requires the 1 crore, 10 million. Public company register गर्न यसको capital 1 करोड रुपैयाँ पुँजी चाहिन्छ. And minimum members 7 जना and 7 भन्दा बढी. अब कुनै कम्पनीले अर्को पब्लिक कम्पनी स्थापना गर्यो भने 7 जना आवश्यक पर्दैन. That is a public company. And private company, minimum 1 to 101 shareholders can establish a company. That is a private company. So that's why private company and public companies there. So these types of companies are also imagined by our Company Act as well. Our Nepalko Company Act also, it has imagined to the public and private company plus. And one member company, OPC refers to single member company. In India, yes, the OPC concept of OPC, own person company, is in practice. In Nepal as well, the single member can establish company. Example पनि नेपालमा company खोल्न सक्छ, but we don't call it as OPC, but we call it as a private company. त्यसलाई हामी private company भन्छौँ. So that's why in Nepal it's a one private company as a one member, single member company or one person company can establish company that we call as a private company. In India, yes, to establish private company, 2 members are required, but there is a practice of the single member company. India मा चाहिँ एकजना व्यक्तिले company खोल्न सक्छ, त्यहाँ चाहिँ they call it as a single member company. But in India, private for the purpose of registration or incorporation of private company, it requires the 2 members still there. In India मा चाहिँ private company registered गर्न दुईजना अनिवार्य minimum चाहिन्छ. So that's why in Nepal, a single member in the individuals can establish company as a private company. So 1 to 101 is the context of Nepal. Okay, and offshore company. Yes, definitely offshore company. It's a company which is established outside of your jurisdiction. For example, the Nepalese investor established the company in another state. That is offshore company. So offshore country is the registration under operation home country. These companies are operated and registered outside of the jurisdiction of the state, outside of the state, outside of the nation. That is offshore company. So for example, as TeliaSonera established the company in Nepal as Ansel. Ansel was as example of the offshore company in countries of Nepal. नेपालको हकमा जति बेला एनसीएल बनायो, टेलियासोनेरा नेपालमा एनसीएल as a लगानी गर्यो, it was as example of the offshore company. So company is, if the company is established or incorporated outside of the jurisdiction of the state, outside of the territory of the state, that we call as offshore company. एउटा मुलुकको jurisdiction क्षेत्राधिकार भन्दा बाहिर गएर कुनै company establish गरिन्छ भने, to that we call as offshore company. And next one is multinational company. Yes, headquarters is in one state and it is operated all over the world. That is multinational company. For example, Coca-Cola, KFC, Coca-Cola, as Toyota, as Apple Inc. These are the different examples of the multinational company. Multinational company भनेको Apple. There is the Apple's headquarters of the Apple Inc. So the headquarters is in US, America, and there is they are operating different parts of the world. And there is Ireland. There is also his contract office, and there another branch of his is there. So headquarters is in one state, but they are operated all over the world. That we call as a multinational company. So that's why multinational company, offshore company, starting to point. Offshore company is established and it is incorporated outside of the home nation, home country. There is offshore country, but multinational company headquarters is in home country, but it is operated all over the world. There is multinational company. For example, Toyota, as a Hyundai, and the Apple Inc. and the Coca-Cola company. These are the companies considered as an example of the multinational company. And foreign company is it is FI. It is concerned with the FI, foreign investment. Foreign company refers to, yes, when you say our Nepalese company Act Section 154, there is a provision of the foreign company. So there is a provision of foreign company. So foreign company, as by establishing the fully owned company, or by purchasing the certain percentage of the share capital of the company, or through the joint venture, or through the joint venture, or through investing as in portfolio investment as FPI. So in this way, so the FPI portfolio investment by as a fully owned or the partly owned foreign company, and by establishing the new company or as a new subsidiary company, so the joint venture by purchasing certain percentage of the existing share capital of the company. So this ways we can register and we can operate foreign company. So that's why in Nepal there is also provision of the foreign company. Foreigners could invest the money and foreign could establish company in Nepal. They could establish the branch office, or they could incorporate a new company. They could buy the new share of a existing company's new share. They could also a share they could buy. So that's portfolio investment. They could also do. So it can be. These are the examples of the foreign companies. So foreign companies are establishment of company or invest of the money in another country. That is a foreign company, a kind of the offshore company. That is a foreign company. And next one is holding and subsidiary company. Yes, holding company is a mother company or the parent company, and subsidiary company. Holding company and subsidiary company. Most of the 50% of the shares should have to be holding. 50% of the shares should hold by the holding company. That is a holding company. For example, the NEA, Nepal Electricity Authority. In Nepal, it has the 20 subsidiary company. Because yes, NEA has holding. The NEA is holding the 50%, more than 50% of the share capital of these different 20 countries. That we call as a holding and subsidiary company. So that's why the subsidiary companies, 50% shares should have to be held by the holding company. It's compulsory to hold the 50%, more than 50 or more than 50% of the share capital at the time. That we call as the holding and the subsidiary company. So subsidiary companies more than 50 or the more than 50% sales should have is required to hold by the holding company that we call as a holding and the subsidiary company. जुन कम्पनीको 50% वा 50 भन्दा बढी शेयर कुनै अर्को होल्डिङ कम्पनीले होल्ड गरिराखेको छ भने त्यसलाई होल्डिङ एन्ड सब्सिडियरी कम्पनी भन्छ. That's why there is a difference between in this way we can categorize and differentiate between the holding and the subsidiary company. Our next profit net distributing company. Nepal, for the first time our company act has introduced such kinds of company, profit net distributing company. It means that they do not distribute the profit. They do not distribute, but these profits are generally, their purpose is the social service. For example, the John Maitri Hospital of Nepal. So kind of a hospital in the areas of the hospital and a manufacturing, maybe the agriculture, education. These are the different areas where the profit net distributing company can establish. So that's generally in the social service areas or the service sector, generally people are establishing such kinds of companies. So profit net distributing company to register in Nepal, minimum member 5, maximum unlimited. Minimum 5 jana, maximum 80 व्यक्तिले profit net distributing company can establish. So is somehow is it the purpose is to the social work and to engage in the social welfare works that we call as a that such kinds of company we call as profit net distributing company. They do not distribute the profit to its shareholder, but they only generate income, but these incomes are their purpose is to do the social work and the social welfare. समाज सेवा गर्ने उद्देश्यले यस्ता खालको कम्पनीहरू इस्टाब्लिश गर्छन्. They goes a kind of the institution, एक प्रकारको kind of the organization, एक प्रकारको संस्था जस्तै हो. प्रकारको जस्तै संस्थाहरू चाहिँ सिडिओ कार्यालयमा जिल्ला प्रशासन कार्यालयमा दर्ता गरिन्छ. खाली कम्पनी चाहिँ यो चाहिँ ओसीआर मा दर्ता गरिन्छ. So that's why the profit not distributing company is also imagined by our company at first time in the 2063 BS. Yes, our company act has introduced to this profit not distributing company has also imagined. And next one is that the government company. Now we don't have concept of government company in the front. As those where the government have the share and the whole companies are controlled by the government. And in the company there is everything is controlled by the government management there. So that's why government company refers to different public institutions, public enterprises, public organizations. They are the government, but we can't say that's a government company, but they are public enterprises. So there is difference between company and public enterprises. So that's why in the any companies, if the government is everything is controlled by the government, that we call as government company. But in Nepal, we don't have such kinds of provision. We don't have such kinds of practice in the context of Nepal because we have repealed this provision of the previous Companies Act 2053 BS. There was the provision of the government company, but nowadays it's government invests the money, but it is considered and it is registered as a public company. Because there may be the share of a government, but it is registered as a public company. Government को चाहिँ share हुन सक्छ, तर उनीहरू they are registered as a public company. Public company को registered by that. So these are the different types of the company we could say in this way. And yes, classification of the company on the basis of this way. Yes, in this way, we can classify. Yes, first one is on the basis of liability. On the basis of liability, company limited by the share, or company service of company share limited by the guarantee. Guarantee refers to the shareholders have guaranteed that during the time of winding up insolvency company, we are ready to pay out the money of those creditors and those the credits of the company. Company को तर्फबाट जति तिर्नुपर्ने liability दायित्व छ हामी चुक्ता गर्छौं भनेर shareholders have committed, that is companies limited by the guarantee. There is no share capital. But most of the company generally in practice is that the companies are generally limited by the share. Generally company चाहिँ share बाटै limited हुन्छ. And unlike limited liabilities, such kinds of company, unlimited company, there is no such kind of practice at the very beginning phase, at the very initial stage of the company and its historical background. At the time, we could say the members of the unlimited liabilities company were incorporated in Britain as well. In Britain and different countries of the world, there was a practice of the unlimited liabilities company, same as to the private firm and the partnership firm. Private partnership firm जस्तो unlimited liability company चाहिँ पहिला देख्न सक्छौं, अहिले त्यो practice छैन. So that's why nowadays once we register, we incorporate to the company, that is considered as a limited liability company. The companies are generally limited by the share. This company had They have the limited liability's own features and its basic characteristics of a corporate personality. So that's why company always it has a limited liability. It is its feature. Okay. On this basis of the liability, we can categorize in this way. Our next one is companies on the basis of a member. So single member can establish company in Nepal. It's a single member company, but we call it a private company. Single member company, it means that one person company, OPC. Our next one is private company and the public company. Private company minimum number 1 to 101, and the public company means 7 unlimited. But any public company, public enterprises, एउटा पब्लिक कम्पनीले अर्थात् कुनै सार्वजनिक संस्थान पनि हुन सक्छ। नेपाल सरकारको कुनै संस्थानहरूले पनि अर्को कम्पनी खोल्यो भने चाहिँ 7 जना आवश्यक पर्दैन भन्छ। So that's why any public enterprises or one company is going to establish another company at the time. It doesn't require the minimum 7 to establish or register the private company, a public company in Nepal. So that's why these are the minimum on single member company, private and public company. This way you can register the company in Nepal. And next one is that the companies on the basis of a control. It's on the basis of control. Yes, holding and subsidiary company. Yes, subsidiary companies more than 50% share. It is holding by the foreign company or the holding company. Subsidiary company को 50 मा 50 भन्दा बढी शेयर चाहिँ holding company खरिद. Yes, 50 मा 50 भन्दा बढी शेयर चाहिँ होल्ड गरिराखेको हुन्छ. It is this one. And associate company joint venture. Yes, associate refers to the joint venture. Associate means two companies are associated and in a joint venture. Through the joint venture, associate companies that more than 2 shareholders. In a joint venture, if the company is running, that we call as associate company. Associate company भनेको चाहिँ joint venture हो. दुई वा दुई भन्दा व्यक्ति मिलेर company run गर्छ भने that we call as associate company. It's very simple to understand. And the next one is that yes, we can classify the company in this way. Just incorporation. On the basis of incorporation, Royal Chartered Company was there in practice in the Britain. On the special order of the Queen or the royal family, Royal Chartered Companies were there in practice. For example, with the special order, Royal Chartered Companies were the East India Company was the Royal Chartered Company. For example, the BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation, and the Central Bank of the England. These are the companies. These are the companies which were established with the special order of the royal family, Queen or King, that we call it the Royal Chartered Company. So East India Company was the example of a Royal Chartered Company, or the BBC. It's now British Broadcasting Corporation is also the Royal Chartered Company. It was established and registered with the special order of the King and Queen, our royal family. Royal family को special order मा registered भएको company भएको है. Royal Chartered Company's example is that the BBC and the East India companies were the example. These are the examples of they were established with the special order of the King, the Royal Chartered family. It was in practice in Britain. And next, statutory company is a special law. If the companies are established, that we call as a statutory company. That means that by enacting the parliament, by enacting new law, parliament in नयाँ कानुन निर्माण गरेर कुनै company दर्ता गर्छ भने that is statutory company. Yes, NRB of Nepal is established with enacting the NRB Act 2058. नेपाल राष्ट्र बैंक सम्बन्धी ऐन 2058 बमोजिम स्थापना गरिएको संस्था हो. That we call as a statutory company. And registered companies that yes, all the companies are registered, that we call as registered company. And liability, limited by the share, limited by the guarantee, unlimited company. These are uncontrolled holding and subsidiary on the basis of a transferability of the share, private company and public company. Yes, only the public company can transfer its share capital to the general public. Public company could make an invitation. Public company only can make invitation to the general public to subscribe the share, so that they have right to invite. They have right to invite the share for the subscription of the share to the general public. Public company matri, they have the right for the invitation for the share invitation for the subscription, the share capital in the company. So this is a public company may use the different methods to raise the fund and capital, maybe the debenture, maybe the share. So that's why the public company share capital is transferable. It's transferred from one to another. It is publicly tradable. But the private company now, private company can't sell its share capital, and only within the 101 members, they could not exceeding to 101. They could also transfer the share capital. Not exceeding 101. member shareholder नबढ्ने गरी चाहिँ आफूभित्र खरिद बिक्री गरेर बस्न सक्छ. So that's why numbers of the private company shareholder should not be exceeded, as in 101. That's why the private company and public company. So private company can't sell its share capital. It can't trade and transfer its share capital to general public. Only the public company can trade and sell its share capital. Okay. Publicly मात्रै publicमा share खरिद बिक्री गर्न सक्छ. That is the difference. And next one is like domestic and the foreign company. Is there? Yes, domestic company. आफ्नो देशको country हो. Foreign company is different. Yes, foreign companies are kind of foreign investment. They come through the joint venture by purchasing existing share capital of a company, or the method through the method of by establishing the liaison office or the contract office, and by fully owned, establishing by incorporating the fully owned subsidiary company. In this way, various forms the FDI can be run. Okay, in this way, FDI can be invested in money. These are the ways. And online company, that is a family company, single member company, or the family company, and companies not making the profit not distributing company. They do not distribute the company, but their whole profit is generally they are generally wasting their money and fund generally in the they are engaging in the field of the social work. Social field may engage with that. Profit not distributing company, we call it as a profit not distributing. As yes, classification of the company, different types of the company. First one is Royal Charter Company. Yes, Royal Charter Company was established by the special order of the king. It was established with the special order of king. Maybe the BBC and the East India Company, BBC, Bank of England. This was the example of, as this were the example of the Royal Charter Company. And next, statutory company, as with the by enacting the parliament, by enacting law, if the special law, if the companies are established, that we call a statutory company. For example, the Nepal Rashtra Bank NRB was established with the NRB Act 2058. That is the statutory company. Yes, विशेष ऐन मार्फत बनेका त्यस्तो कम्पनीलाई हामी statutory company भन्छौँ. And registered or incorporated company, incorporated company, registered company first. Yes, the company we registered in the OCR, that we call a registered company. जति पनि company हुन्छन् तिनीहरू दर्ता गरिनुपर्छ. त्यो दर्ता गर्ने companyलाई हामी registered company भन्छौँ. Generally, companies are registered in the registered office may have. Every country, every nation may have the different separate registered office. So companies would have to be registering this in that company, and that we call. And when the company is incorporated, it becomes a registered company. Company जब दर्ता हुन्छ त्यसपछि एउटा दर्ता company to convert हुन्छ. And public limited company and private limited company. Probably it writes the B.a.ll.b, the private limited company, but public company, that is the limited company. So that's why public company is, yes, there is the minimum, on the basis of minimum numbers of the share capital, we can differentiate between public and private company. Private company को minimum share 50,000 बाट पनि company register गर्न सक्छ. B.a.ll.b capital त्यति राख्न पनि सक्छ. तर public मा चाहिँ के भन्छ भने 1 करोड रुपैयाँ चाहिँ यसको चुक्ता पुँजी B.a.ll.b capital चाहिन्छ भन्छ. अब यसको maximum number जति पनि राख्न सक्ने मेम्बरमा minimum 7 जनाले public company खोले, but private मा चाहिँ 1 to 101. These are the area. So 1-person company, single member company, it's a private company in Nepal. In India there is a practice of single member company. India मा चाहिँ single member company को practice छ. एकजनाले व्यक्तिले पनि company खोल्न सक्छ भन्छ. Such kinds of practice are there. And company is limited by the share. Every company is limited by the share because there is the share capital, pair of capital, issued capital, and the equity share and preference. Different numbers of the share capital are there. Generally, especially in the public company. As a public company with a preference share, equity share, bonus share, different types of the share are practiced. So that's why limited by the share according to the par value of the share. Share को par value बाट governance. On the basis of the proportional rate of the share, the own गरेको share को proportional rate को आधारमा, the GAD, the dividend, and the GAD profit, they can claim over it. That we call as the company is limited by the share, but limited by the guarantee. No share capital, but the shareholders have committed that yes, we are ready to pay all the liabilities of the company in the future during the time of the liquidation. Company liquidation मा गयो, insolvency मा गयो भने हामी company run गर्न ready छौं, हामी commit गर्छौं भनेर they have committed. That we call as a company is limited by the guarantee. An unlimited company, there is no practice in Nepal, and during the initial phase, there is before the 1600th century, there was the large numbers of the companies were unincorporated before the East India Company was established. East India Company आउनुभन्दा अगाडि large numbers of the companies were unlimited company. Okay, so that's why when the East India Company was established in 1600 and 1648 Hudson Bay Company, numbers of companies were established. So these are the companies, they are based on the limited liability. They have the feature of the corporate personality. So that's why the differences between the limited and limited liability on the basis of the liability company we can categorize. And holding subsidiary associate company. Yes, holding company must hold more than 50% share. Holding company subsidiary company को 50 भन्दा बढी शेयर चाहिँ जसले होल्ड गर्छ त्यसलाई हामी होल्डिङ कम्पनी भन्छौँ. Yes, I have given you is that the best example is that the NEA, Nepal Electricity Authority is there, Nepal Vidyut Pradhikaran, and it has the different numbers of the 20 subsidiary company. There's the NEA has already more than 50% of its share. Different hard-part companies and different technical based companies are there. Okay, consultant companies are there. So that's why subsidiary holding. Yes, there is a more and more share capital are generally holding by the held by the holding company to the over the subsidiary company. Okay, and associate company, it's a kind of the joint venture. The company is run in a joint venture that it's associate company. Duita company, duita shareholderहरूले joint venture मा company run गर्छ भने that we call as an associate company. Maybe the two companies may have a invest the money and hold the share in another new country that is associate company. Maybe the two A and B company has established another new company but in the joint venture. Okay, by investing the money, that we call as an associate company. So that's why two individuals or two persons, two and more individuals, or any two and more than three entities or any companies is going to run the company and they establish another company, that we call as an associate company. So that's a simple word. Yes, associate company are generally exist under the joint venture agreement. They are accessed under the joint venture agreement. Joint venture agreement बाट associate company generally run गरिराखेको हुन्छ. It could say in this way. And there is another that listed and unlisted company. Listed and unlisted company is that listed company generally public company. There's two types of public company. One is listed public company. Next is unlisted public company. Public company listed कहिलेसम्म हुन्छ? Yes, until the IPO is issued by the public company. At that time, they are remaining as an unlisted company. When they issue the primary share, when they issue the IPO, with the issuance of the IPO, they are registered in the SEBO, or means the Tupatra board mounted register, then it is converted into a listed company. So unlisted company became converted into listed company after the issuance of the IPO. IPO जारी नगरुन्जेलसम्म सबै company after the registration of the public company, it is still remain to issue the IPO to the general public. At the time, they are remain as an unlisted company. When they issue the IPO, they should have to be listed. They listed in the with the IPO issuance of the IPO, they are listed in the SEBO or the Tupatra board for the transaction or for the transaction of the trade of their capital of the share, transfer and trade of their share, that we call as a listed company. जब आइपिओ जारी गरेपछि त्यो शेयर खरिद बिक्रीको लागि धितोपत्र बोर्डमा प्रवेश गर्नुपर्छ. त्यसपछि पब्लिक कम्पनीहरू लिस्टेड कम्पनी हुन्छ. So आइपिओ जारी नगरुन्जेलसम्म र धितोपत्र लिस्टिङ नहुन्जेलसम्म they are still considered there as a unlisted company. So that's why after the registration of a public company, it became as an unlisted company. And when they issue the share and they are listed into, they should have to be listed into a SEBO, that we call as a listed company. अब आइपिओ जारी गरिसँगै त्यो आइपिओ को खरिद बिक्रीको लागि त्यसको सम्पूर्ण शेयर खरिद बिक्रीको लागि त सेबोनमा प्रवेश गर्नुपर्छ. त्यसपछि that became the public company, became the listed company. So that's why until they issue the IPO, they are considered as an unlisted company, and with the issuance of the IPO, they became converted into a listed company. So there are two types of the public company, listed and also the company. Such kinds of different companies are there. Government company, there is a more and more share of the share capital of the company that we as government company. जहाँ government को share छ त्यसलाई हामी सरकारी company भन्छौँ. हाम्रोमा चाहिँ public company नै भन्छौँ. And foreign company is FDI. Foreign company भनेको विदेशीले लगानी गर्ने company FDI को रूपमा आउँछ. Charitable company, yes, some companies are established for the purpose of the charity. It means that for the social welfare. It means their objectives are charitable. Maybe in the science, in the art, and the culture, religious, and different education and sport and trade. Promotion of the trade, education, sport, religion, culture, promotion of the culture. If the companies are established, that we call a charitable company. भनेको आफ्नो भाषा संस्कृति कला संरक्षणको लागि कुनै कम्पनीहरू बनाइन्छ भने that we call as a charitable company. So for the protection and promotion of their culture, their trade and their sport and the education and the science, art, religion, for that purpose if the company is established that we call as a charitable company. Okay? त्यस्तो company पनि establish गर्न सक्छ. But in Nepal our company act does not imagine charitable company. हाम्रो company and the charitable company imagine चाहिँ गरेको छैन. And dormant company, it means that yes, dormant company is that yes, the companies are gradually formed for the future project that we call as a dormant funds. Dormant company was future project को लागि गरिने company. For example, they do not have the significant accounting transaction and do not have carry out all the companies for the regular company. As a regular company को लागि उनीहरू transact होइन. It's a dormant company, for example. It's a very simple word. For the hydropower project को लागि चाहिँ पहिला design को लागि मात्रै company establish गरिन्छ नि. That is the dormant company. Yes, they have established. The hardware companies are established. They are generally formed under the future project. Future project को लागि just design को लागि पनि company स्थापना गरिन्छ. First, for the only purpose of design of the hardware project. Design को लागि नै 8 वर्ष 10 वर्ष लाग्न सक्छ, 4 वर्ष लाग्न सक्छ. So that purpose, if the future planning and future projects, if the company is established, that is a dormant company. Dormant company भनेको फ्युचरमा company नै establish गर्ने हो. तर अहिले चाहिँ खाली hydropower project मा जनरली dormant company को practice हुन्छ. For example, त्यसको design गर्नु पर्यो. It takes time, 1 year, 2 year, 2 year, more than 3 years or 5 years, it can't be taken. So that's why that we call as a dormant company. So they are generally established and formed for the future project. Future project को लागि कुनै कम्पनीहरु स्थापना गरिन्छ भने that is a dormant company. Maybe the nowadays it's a Jagadulla, Upper Karnali, maybe the Mugu Karnali, and there is a Jagadulla hydropower. These are the numbers of the company. That is dormant company. Future मा हामी रन गर्छौं है भनेर कुनै company establish गरिन्छ भने that is a dormant company. So that's why yes, these are the companies which are established for the future general project and future project. Future project को लागि company generally establish गरिन्छ भने that is a dormant company. And next one is offshore. Yes, so we know that offshore refers to if the company is established outside of the country. Yes, offshore means located. It is situated and located beyond the own national boundaries. It is situated and located and registered beyond the one national boundary. That is offshore company. So the term offshore refers to, it has two definitions, and depending on its respective features, and from the point we can say that offshore company refers to the company is it is located and situated beyond the own national territory. For example, Nepalese investor established company in for example, offshore company. B.a.l.l.b may have their contract officer offshore company in the different Africa, South factory to be in African countries, different South American countries, as they have the company that we call as an offshore company. So that's why if the company is established situated beyond the national boundary, that we call as offshore company. After national boundary, when the buyer company, there is offshore company. Maybe the Nepal can also establish the company in another. We may have the company in another country that we call offshore company. So that's why the company is established outside of their nation. That is offshore company. After muluk banda bahira kuni company established गरिन्छ, company सञ्चालन गरिन्छ. Maybe, for example, Nepal is a landlocked country. We don't have a sea. We don't have an ocean. We don't have a kinds of sea, and we require to. We want to business in the areas of the sea. अब समुद्रमा हामीले व्यापार गर्नु पर्यो भने त्यहाँ पानी जहाज हामी कम्पनी चलाउँछौं, पानी जहाज खरिद गरेर भने that is offshore company. So that's why offshore company refers to it is established outside of their own nation and homeland and home territory. Home territory भन्दा बाहिर कुनै त्यस्तो खालको कम्पनी सञ्चालन गर्छ भने that is the offshore company. So this is the example of the offshore company. And yes, these are the features of the offshore company. Yes, offshore company, they are broadly not subject to taxes in their home jurisdiction. Now subject of the taxes in the home territory. Home territory ma tax कुरा हुँदैन, जहाँनिर where is the company is located and situated, there they pay the tax. जहाँ company located छ उनीहरूले त्यहाँ tax तिर्छन्. And the corporate regime will be designed to promote the business flexibility. Definitely, they are established for the promote the business flexibility. And regulation of the corporate activities will normally be lighter than the developed country. अब developed country को भन्दा normally यसको activity चाहिँ lighter हुन्छ. So that's why they are not subject to the tax in the home territory. Home territory मा tax तिर्नु पर्दैन, जहाँनिर company रहन्छ त्यहाँनिर tax तिर्छौं. That we call as a offshore company. So these are the different features of the offshore company and profit not distributing company. And this is the procedures of the registration of profit not distributing company. In Nepal, the profit not distributing company, we can incorporate as same procedures of the another company as a public and private company. जसरी हामी public र private company दर्ता गर्ने प्रक्रिया छौं नेपालमा, यसमा सूचना as a nivedan application and the different steps are there, MOA, AOA, the same procedures we applied for the registration of the profit not distributing company in Nepal. नेपालमा मुनाफा वितरण नगर्ने कम्पनी भएको पनि त्यही हो, तर खाली इस्टाब्लिश मेम्बर चाहिँ मिनिमम 5 जना भइ पुग्छ। मुनाफा वितरण नगर्ने कम्पनीमा चाहिँ even the minimum 5 member can establish a company in Nepal. Okay, and there is another one is that is the different companies are there, multinational companies are there. Yes, multinational companies are, as their headquarters, the registration is the one state, the one nation, but they are running all of it. That we call as a multinational company. They may have the branch office, they may have the contract office, and with the branch and contract office, they are operating. That we call as a multinational company. As a branch group, worldwide company run that we call the multinational company. Yes, it facilitates service and goods. It exports and goods, imports and exports goods in different countries of the world. So that we call as a multinational company. Headquarters is one nation, but operating all of it. Maybe the Coca-Cola and the Apple Inc., for example, the American company Apple Inc., and maybe the Dell, the companies of the Dell and the Toyota company, and the different vehicles companies are there. Numbers of the companies are there. So in one country, companies registered, but they are operating all of it above. That we call as a multinational company. So multinational companies generally exporting and importing goods and services and making significant importing goods, significant investment in the foreign country, a kind of investment in the foreign country, and the buying and selling of the license. It means the franchise. They have the franchise. For to buy the franchise, multinational company goes for franchise. So that's why they are buying and selling the franchise in the foreign market. Foreign market ma franchise buy and bikri गरिराख्नु, for example KFC as a franchise, a kind of the franchise KFC have, and they are selling. So multinational companies are selling and buying their franchise, the certificate. It means the franchise brand, and they're making and investing the money in foreign countries of the world and home country in the own state, and they are operating all over the world. Himalayan Java, a kind of the multinational company, the brand, and there is another KFC and Toyota, Apple in different companies all over the world are there. So in this way, their headquarters is in one nation, and they are operating all over the world. So yes, multinational companies, their feature is that yes, they are a decentralized corporations is there, decentralized corporation, and a global and centralized corporation, but they are operating globally but centralized corporation of the multinational company. Centralized that all over the world they are operating. That we call as a multinational company. So that's why now the conclusion, Apple Inc. is a great example of the multinational company. It tries to maximize the cost advantage to the foreign investment. So in international France, and Toyota is one of the another example of the multinational company. Apple Inc. is Ireland. There is their contract office. They are operating all over the world. Toyota, Apple Inc., Coca-Cola, these are the different countries of the world. Yes, they are generally they are supporting, they are helping in the areas of exporting, importing goods and services. They're buying and selling their franchise and their brand and operating all over the world, and they're creating the new market, and they are generating new market and supporting to the foreign country the growth and development and their prosperity. Okay, that we call as a concept of the multinational company. Okay, just like multinational company. So yes, thank you.